Welcome to Horns Up, and yes, December seems to be a month for all the metalheads who really like to read. This episode too features a writer, and he's someone who joins in from Nebraska. Isn't that right? Here's Mike Malloy. Hi, Mike. How's it going?
Hi. Give everybody a chance to Google where Nebraska is. I'm sure hardly anybody knows. Probably most Americans don't know where it is, let alone anybody outside of it. But good to be here. Thanks for having me, Peter and Animesh.
Mike, you've spent 20 years as a newspaper reporter, and you've just finished your first book, which is Singing the Songs of Angry Men: Why People Love Heavy Metal. So, here's an obvious one. What prompted you to write the book in the first place?
I have a friend of mine who named Catherine, who's was been pushing me to write this book for a while, and I was hesitant to do it because I'm not famous. This is my first book that I've ever written, and so nobody knows who I am, and nobody. I don't have that brand name, so I was a little hesitant to do it. But the more I thought about it, I thought, well, I think I could make this interesting. And the format that I chose was to try to have a combination of stories about things that I've done because I've seen this ridiculous number of shows, and some of the experiences that I've lived and shared that I can share with people. But I also wanted to have some more meat on the bones, and to have some research that goes along with that, because I've often had this question, and you guys have probably thought of this too. I mean, you guys, I don't know, Anonymous, you're a musician, and Peter, you obviously love this music as well, and we all love this music, but it can be very harsh, very bleak, very downcast, and yet, well, there's millions of us around the world that love this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to try to dig into why that is. And so it's partially research and it's partially personal stories. And I've read like academic work before, and it's really, really dry, and it can be a really big slog to try to get through it all. Even though the concepts and the ideas and the information is good, it's really terrible to read. And so I thought, my personal stories are kind of like the grease in the wheel that keeps people interested and kind of shows, in real life what these sort of concepts are like. But, I've been a fan of metal since I was in high school. I'm 49 years old now, so the high school was a long, long time ago. And so I've been to a lot of shows. I think I've seen over 250 bands live. And so it just seemed like if I'm going to be an expert about anything, it's about going to metal concerts. So.
The first few chapters of that book are available for everyone to read. It's up at MikeMalloyWriter.com. That's MikeMalloywriter.com. And I'd really recommend it for anyone who's a metalhead, because it seems to be a story that all of us fans can relate to, exactly like how you said, right? It's a breeze to read, goes perfectly with your drink of choice when you need to dedicate some me time. Was that really the intention?
Yeah, I think I'm gratified to hear you say that, because one thing of being a reporter for a long, long time is you can't lose somebody's interest. And newspaper stories tend to be really short. They're to the point, and you don't want that experience of people reading something and their eyes are going down the page but their brain's kind of checked out. And so that's why I try to use some humor in there, and I try to do some things that you don't expect, to throwing in some, like I said, academic research, which most people probably wouldn't think that academics would spend a lot of time researching heavy metal, but they do. And I'm sure you guys knew that, but I think the general population probably doesn't know that. So the great writers, I feel like they write quickly. Like you read it and it feels like you're kind of running downhill, because you keep reading and you keep turning the page, and there's like an ease to it. And bad writing is like trying to run uphill, where it's a slog. And so I tried to make this quick, if that makes any sense, to try to make it an easier read. And I think that's where the humor that I try to throw in there tries to do that anyway.
Right. And now, if you go to Mike's website, right, you'll also see some very interesting statistics. I mean, he's one of the guys. I mean, you're one of the guys who's kept track of each and every gig you've been to.
Yes.
And at least it's listed up to Feb 2020. Well, we all know why. But
Right.
you've seen over 289 bands, uh, 518 sets. I mean, that's a long list. Is this all the way from your high school?
Yeah, I was probably a young adult when I really first started going to shows, and I feel there's obviously a lot of privilege in that, because in the United States, there's a Megadeth show every 20 minutes, right? Like they're always play. You can always go to a show, and I think Metallica. I meant to look this up, but I feel like they've gone to India a few times,
Yeah.
maybe in their latter days. But they're just, there aren't that many opportunities in other countries, like America and Western Europe, but like other areas where people live. I know you've had on people, from bands from Saudi Arabia and Finland and some of these other places where it's a little bit harder to access this music. So part of that is I've been fortunate to live where I live, and I've always had money in a car, so I can always go to get to these shows. And yeah, it's really kind of obsessive and maybe somewhat disturbing, the number of shows that I've seen, but it's one of the something I really love doing. And there's really, as you guys know, there's nothing else. There's nothing else like seeing a band that you really like up close and personal.
No, I'm glad you brought up Megadeth, because I think it reached a stage where Megadeth was playing so often here in India.
They were a local band at one point.
Yeah,
okay,
we
good,
kind of joked that because of course the promoter also kept bringing them down, and let's be honest, they're fucking Megadeth, right? So you go when they're coming down, right?
Right.
Actually had the chance of working closely with a festival that brought Megadeth down.
Oh, great!
Some nice stories.
Did you get to play on that, Bill, or?
No. So I used to work with a company that organized the festival that brought him down.
Oh, okay.
Brought the Megadeth down.
Yeah.
But
great.
We'll do them for another episode.
Yeah.
So, since it's Horns Up and since we've got Metalhead Mike with us, we thought it would be a good idea to play a game of Kill, Marry, Fuck, Horns Up style. Now, previously, our listeners would know that we've based this game on albums, but for this episode, we're going to base it on live performances. Peter and I haven't, obviously, we've not seen more than 200 live acts. Metal acts. Maybe if you include all the local college bands that we've seen, maybe then. Yeah, definitely not the ones that the big names that everybody associates with live metal gigs. But yeah, we've seen enough videos, etc., to kind of know what a live gig by each of these bands would look like. And Mike, I think you've seen most of them, but if you haven't, I'm sure you have seen enough videos of the others as well. Essentially, we'll get around to animated discussion about which act you'd like to see, and hopefully we'll all be able to do that in real life sooner than later too. So I'm going to quickly just run you guys through the rules. Here's how it's going to be played. 3 bands are grouped in one set. From each set, the 3 of us, Mike, Peter, and I, will pick a band each that has to be either killed, which means that the band has banned you from attending any of their shows, and so you never get to see them again. Marry, which means that the band has granted you access to attend all of their shows and you can perpetually visit them whenever you want to. Or fuck, which means that you get to see one show and then the band doesn't like you anymore and bans you from attending any future show.
I like it. Yeah.
So let's do this. Are we ready to play KMF?
Yeah, let's do this. Come on.
I'm ready.
Let's begin with set 1. And your three bands are, Mike, I want you to take this one first:
Okay.
Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and Black Sabbath.
Okay. Some old school stuff. Okay. Um, wow, that one that's a tough one for me. I saw Black Sabbath without when Ronnie James Dio was still alive.
Was it then Heaven and Hell?
It was called Heaven and Hell. I guess
Okay.
but it was Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler were still in. I think Vinny Appice was the
Yeah.
drummer for that too. But that was they were headlining. Megadeth and Machine Head were the two opening bands. Um, so that was a pretty good tour. So it's Iron Maiden and it's Black Sabbath. Now, do you mean the original Black Sabbath with Ozzy? Is
Ah,
that
I mean, feel free to color it.
okay? And then I've the other band is Judas Priest. Okay,
Yeah.
I would say I would probably kill Judas Priest. Um, that's the band I feel like I grew up in the 80s, and so I got to know Judas Priest with like that Turbo Lover kind of phase that they were in. And that was, I think we'd all agree that that was probably not their best effort. And so that was my first impression. I didn't know about Painkiller and, Sad Wings of Destiny and that kind of the earlier stuff that they did at that time. So my first impression of Judas Priest was not great, but um, I would say I would probably um, I would probably fuck Black Sabbath and marry Iron Maiden. So I think I've never seen Iron Maiden live, so that's one hole in my resume there. So and I think
Wait, what?
Animesh, is that do you have the Killers poster on your wall behind you? Is that I can't quite make it out, but is that
Up the Beast poster.
oh it's okay. I couldn't quite I was pretty sure that was an Iron Maiden poster, but
Yeah, it is. It is. And the other one, I also have A Matter of Life and Death on the other wall, and
okay.
framed it. But I have a live after that too. So definitely, I'm a huge Maiden head. But I want to hear Peter first. Peter, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath.
So I'm gonna like keep it kind of short, and I'm coloring in this for sure. I mean, uh, since you are allowing us this, if it's Aussie fronted Sabbath, kill man. I don't want to like ruin it by watching them live, but if it's Dio fronted or Heaven and Hell, whatever you want to call it, Sabbath, of course, man. I'd at least fuck it.
Oh,
There has to be
true.
there. But because it's a toss up between Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, and yeah, I'd have to fuck Judas Priest and marry Iron Maiden. I mean, I've managed to see them twice live, and both times they blew my mind. I'd actually fly halfway around the world if I could to watch Iron Maiden. So definitely marry Iron Maiden.
Now, there's, for me, this becomes really tough because my heart is telling me to do one thing and my rational mind is telling me to do another. I've seen Maiden twice or thrice now, and that's the only band from amongst the three that I've actually watched live. And so I know that even if I don't see Maiden ever again, at least I've seen Maiden thrice, right? Which is why
Yeah.
I'm going to kill Iron Maiden. Uh,
Ooh,
that's the
an
mind
upset.
talking.
Yeah.
That is the mind talking. Yeah, and it's really hard for me to accept that, but that is what it is. Um, I haven't seen Judas Priest or Black Sabbath live yet. Um, I think Judas Priest with the new lineup, etc., they're still doing excellent shows, and I think they have one more album left in them. So realistically, I'd marry Judas Priest because I think I'll actually want to see two or three gigs with them. Maybe they'll come down to India. Maybe. They have a huge fan base here in India. And Sabbath, I think they're done for now. So I'll fuck them just because, even if it's doesn't matter. Like, obviously, we can't get to see Ronnie James Dio fronted Sabbath anymore. Rest in peace, rest in power.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't mind seeing an Aussie fronted Sabbath, even if it means Aussie has to come out with an oxygen tank and taking hits in between, maybe verses, not just songs.
He's used to taking hits during a show, but not of oxygen. That's the point where he's reached in his life now. So
Ooh. Yeah, so that was
I was going to see him. He was on tour with Megadeth, or was going to be on tour with Megadeth here in the United States. I think a year and a half ago or something, and he had that they got canceled because I think he had
Health
the
issue.
guy's like 70, and so he's like had some medical issue that called it off.
yeah,
So
more than 70. He's fucking Ozzy Osbourne.
right, yeah, it's a hard 70. Yeah, it's definitely a hard 70.
Alrighty, so that was set one. Let's get into set two, changing genres completely. Non-metal this time. U2, Pearl Jam, and the Foo Fighters. Peter.
And I know all the true and cult or whatever listenership we have are gonna like troll me or whatever, but man, I'm marrying Foo Fighters.
All of them would have either have attended or want to attend one of these bands' shows.
True. But yeah, I'll marry Foo Fighters, man. I mean, the kind of shows. I think I've spent so many hours watching Foo Fighters videos live, and I think there have been times I've actually looked up, I think when they were in Singapore or somewhere nearby flying, like actually looked up tickets, what it would be like, just like fly in, don't even stay there, just fly back, that
Yeah.
kind of thing to do. But so that one out of the way. The other two are Pearl Jam and U2. I mean, this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone who's heard previous episodes, but I think Indian bands have ruined Pearl Jam for me. Like, it's like it's similar to like Megadeth, right, or like Metallica, because Indian bands have covered them to death, and they've kind of been popular as the Indian Megadeth or Indian Metallica, right?
Mhm.
And so I can totally do without uh, listening to Pearl Jam or seeing them live.
Be listening to Alive the way it's meant to be played.
Yeah, but like I don't know. Have you heard any of the recent Pearl Jam stuff? It's not even rock, man. Forget like grunge. It's not even rock. It's just like some electro rock or whatever. So I don't want to sit through that just to hear like Jeremy. I don't know. I'm happy listening to my CD. So I'll definitely kill them. And yeah, this I regret not being in the country for. Otherwise, I would have definitely been there at the U2 concert. I mean, just the production. And I think Liam Gallagher showing up was, I think, the moment I regret more than anything else. Just the fact that you had him on Indian soil, like forget everything else, and performing live. So, yeah, just for that, hopefully based on the response from last time, they come down again whenever that is. But yeah, I'd fuck you too.
Hmm. Oh, I'd fuck you too.
I walked into that one.
I would. I'm gonna take this one. I'm gonna take this one right now. Um, I'd marry Pearl Jam. Fuck, I've never watched them live, but I want to watch them live, and I don't care how many times I watch them live. So I'm gonna marry Pearl Jam. I'm a huge fan, and yep, I still, yeah, even though whatever the last album was, I still liked it. Yep. I don't know why I'm defending it so much.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm gonna fuck Foo Fighters just because I've never watched them live, and I watch them, and it'll be good to watch them live at least once. I'm gonna kill you too because hey, I was there at that show that they put. in my backyard. It's literally, the stadium was like a 20-minute walk from my house, and I'm done with it. I don't need to watch them ever again. That's it. I've only enjoyed that one album that they played in entirety, and yep, excellent stage show, excellent performance, very like excellent everything. But that was the one show where I felt my age, and we got into, and I like, yeah, I don't know if listeners would remember, but last year around, when we did our live best live shows of 2019, which this year we can't even do. Yeah, I went into a whole rant about it, and that feeling hasn't changed. I'm gonna kill you too, Mike. What about you?
Well, if you look at my list, you've seen I've seen all three of these bands several times.
Why I added them?
That's why you picked it out. Yeah. There should have probably been a little asterisk next to some of these because my wife is a huge U2 fan and a huge Foo Fighters fan. So I went with her. All those shows that I've seen of them, probably 8 or 9 times for each one of them. I've gone with her. So those are more of her bands. Pearl Jam is one of my favorites. It's one of the few non-metal uh, bands that I really like, and would go see them. I have not seen them nearly as often as I've seen some of the other metal bands that I really like. But weird thing, I was listening to one of your previous podcasts about metal or not, and it was the one where you guys talked about Korn and Tool and Mastodon, and I thought of this, that like after that first Red 10 came out, Pearl Jam was on Headbangers Ball here in the United States. Like they were featured on that MTV show, and they were, the guys were in the studio and they were interviewing. And I'm like, this, even then, like I'm like, this is not metal. Okay, this is,
Yeah.
I like them, but they're clearly not metal. And as Peter, as you said, that this latest record couldn't be really much further from metal if you tried. But because I've been a big Pearl Jam fan for a long time, I would marry them. And it's a tough choice for the other two, but I think that the U2, like Animesh, you got to see it. Like there is that like spectacle element nowadays with their shows, and I don't know if this the tour where they had the big thing in the middle and it came down and they went up in it and played and all of that.
Was shit, I forget the, yeah. I forgot the name of the tour. Damn it. It's,
Joshua Tree, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. They just had this massive LED and lovely
Yeah,
visuals accompanying each and every song, and they've got their performance right. Like it's so well practiced now that everybody
yeah.
their cues, everybody knows where to go, and for an audience, you're just like, oh my god, that's so cool that he stepped over there and the visual changed perfectly to meet that angle, etc. And honestly, they played like, I really like enjoyed it because they ended up playing, I think, what's my favorite U2 song, which is track number 4, Bullet the Blue Sky.
The
Yeah.
Bullet to Blue Sky. Yeah, yeah,
And I thought that was like that worth it, that was enough for it for me.
yeah.
That's what made the show. So yeah, so which means, wait 1 second, Mike, finish your
So
picks.
yeah. Well, anyway, so I think that's maybe slight spectacle factor with U2. I would probably fuck them and then have to kill the Foo Fighters. With all apologies to Dave Grohl, I think that's how I'd have to go. So don't tell my wife I said that.
Oh, we won't, it's okay. All right, now let's move into a set with featuring bands that I don't think any of us have seen live. So this will be really fun. Your 3 bands are, and Mike, I'd like you to take this one first.
Okay.
Tool, Ramstein, and Dio with the holographic Ronnie James Dio.
Holographic Dio. Okay. Um, I don't know I don't know if I'm going to offend anybody. Listen, I really don't like Rammstein. That's too like industrial, or it's got too much like buzzes and clicks in there for me. So I have a friend of mine who's a metal fan, and we initially like bond. It's like, oh, you like metal and I like metal. Then we kind of realized we're in the same camp, but we're in different parts, like different parts of town, because he really likes Tool. He really likes Mastodon. He really likes Marilyn Manson, and he really likes those sort of like have those like ambient kind of noisy, little scratchy kind of stuff to him, and I think he kind of likes Rammstein too, but I definitely would kill them. That's yeah, just not a band I've ever really liked. I did see Dio, like I said, when he was with the Heaven and Hell lineup a few years ago. So I guess yeah, that is. I would probably. I've never seen Tool, and so I'm sure it's a weird experience. I'm sure that if you're not on LSD, you're probably not doing it right. If you're at a Tool show, if you're at a Tool show sober, you're doing it wrong. But I would probably have. It's hard to say fuck Ronnie James Dio because he's dead, but I'll do that one, and then I'll marry Tool.
Okay, cool. Um, this one's like, for me, I'm gonna kill the holographic Ronnie James Dio. That shouldn't exist. Period.
Yeah.
It shouldn't exist. Between Ramstein and Tool, I think I'd fuck Ramstein because I really want to see that them doing and lose the whatever that show of theirs where they put everything on fire, etc. It seems like a visual spectacle. And yeah, I'd marry Tool because come on. Yep, it is Tool. I know we've bitched about them a lot about in our podcast, but yeah, it's Tool. That's still yeah. I'm not a huge Rammstein guy either, so yeah, Tool would be the best fit. But of course, no LSD for me.
The latest record, is that one that you guys like, or it didn't sound like in that one podcast that you were big fans of? I've already forgotten the name of it, but the one that just came out 6 months ago.
Inoculum. It's been over a year now. Yeah.
Animesh's relationship is different with it.
My relationship with that record has like changed because yeah, it deserves its own episode.
I'll look forward to that episode. Let me know when it comes out.
Peter.
Okay, so for the exact same reasons as Animesh, definitely killing the Dio hologram thing. I mean, it's not. I don't even know where to start with that. But this will come as a surprise to our longtime listeners. Rammstein, I think, with their over-the-top production and everything, I think just for my ears and my eyes and everything else to keep my senses for a longer time, I'll only watch them once. So I'll fuck them because I don't think I can like watch them on a regular basis. That's good, just like once. And yeah, I mean, I'm finding, because you're looking at the process of elimination, right? When I think about it, with a band like Tool, right? Every show is going to be different, and I hope I'm going to be watching them on like different kind of tours and stuff. With this album, yeah, I don't mind if they play it for like the next 10 years. I mean, they're obviously going to keep switching set lists and all of that, right? Unless they play the entire album back to back, then that would be an interesting show.
Hey, so essentially what you're saying is for the next 10 years, you're actually expecting Tool to release new music.
Well, that's a good. I mean, see, that's the thing, right? I don't mind because they still have that catalog that they can dive into, and who knows if they sell out and do like one of those 20th anniversary tours or something like that. Or maybe they'll like do a very Tool thing, which is like minimalist production, take it back to like smaller shows. Who knows?
Anything's possible with them.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike.
I have a quick Tool story for you, even though I've never seen them. So this was in 2001, and Megadeth had a record that was coming out, and they were doing an in-store appearance at a place in Chicago, and I was standing in line. It's like the midnight release. You go in, you get it signed, and all that stuff. And there was this group of guys. Tool was putting out a record the same day, and so this group of guys showed up at the Megadeth in-store release day to buy the Tool record. And the guy is standing in front of me and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's just like old people that listen to me. It's just some guy with a bald spot going, peace sells, man." And then he looks at me and I've got my Megadeth shirt. He's like, "No offense, but well, fuck you. How am I not supposed to take offense at that comment?" I was like, and for the longest time, I looked back on that and I thought, you know what? The joke was on you, asshole, because Tool doesn't do anything anymore, and Megadeth is still out there. But now Tool has come back and resurrected. So, but I just thought there are 100,000 record shops in the United States that you can go buy that record at, and you happen to go to the one that where Megadeth, the four guys are sitting inside there ready to sign stuff, and you're going to go in and buy some other band's record. So that.
I thought the guy went up to Megadeth and got them to autograph it. That would have been.
He was joking about that. I don't know if he ever did. "Hey Dave, can you sign my Tool record?" Yeah.
Dave would probably have him arrested, like, or something.
Yes. I would fully expect that.
Okay, let's move into a set that I like to call an awesome live experience. Peter, I want you to take this one first. This one features Kiss, Ghost, and Gwar.
Oh man. So I don't know. I'm trying to rack my brains if I was in the same country when Gwar were touring and missed out, and I'm wondering why now. But I'd start off with Gwar, that I'd fuck them. And the only reason I say that is because I don't know how often, for the same reason, right? Like, how many times do you want to get like covered in slime and sludge or whatever it is, right? And I from the videos, again, this is based on all the videos I watched, I think there's only that much of their humor I can handle at just once. Like, I don't know if I can do that on a regular basis. Probably like halfway through, and of course, I mean, they do come up with a lot of jokey stuff, keeping up with like the latest political what's happening and all. But yeah, I think I'll enjoy it only once, knowing the person I am. So I'd fuck them. And again, we you kind of know where I'm going with this because I'd actually linked you to this. I'm gonna say I'm gonna marry Kiss because I mean, as much as I don't enjoy their recorded music, right? I mean, I wouldn't like instantly reach out to their music and stuff. I think their live show far outweighs, I mean, what they do recorded. So, yeah, that would be fun to watch. But, like, again, when you're comparing it to Ghost, which is basically, in a way, just like someone who's made a career imitating Kiss or just taking that playbook and then kind of doing that. Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy like the first Ghost album. So the recent stuff I haven't really enjoyed much. And like when you compare the theatrics between Kiss and Ghost, I think it's kind of obvious that I'll just kill Ghost and marry Kiss.
Fantastic. What about you, Mike?
I had a feeling, by the way, if I went the other way, Animesh should like end his partnership on this podcast with me. That's it.
Throw down the microphone and he's out. You know?
He's like, no, we cannot be friends anymore.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me, as I don't really like any of these bands, but that makes it a good category because then you've got to make some difficult choices. I have seen Gwar once, and I agree with you, Peter, that it's hard to imagine like going to see Guar like a bunch of times because it's going to be kind of the same thing, again and again. The one time that I saw them, they had one of the things that they did was they had a guy dressed up like a I think he was like the Pope. He had the big like mitre hat on and a robe, and they like flipped him upside down, and he had this like cartoonishly like prosthetic ass that had a big opening in it, and they sodomized him with a cross. So it was it was like once you've seen that once, it's hard to top that. So
What if they had gone into the future, realized that that's the shtick that Ghost was up to, and then they came like,
yeah, and then Guar was like, "Wait, why do you guys get to play arenas and we have to do little tiny clubs?" Yeah, but
That's true.
uh,
That's true.
because the place I saw is here in the town I live in. It's right down the street from where I live, and it's a small, probably 1,000 people at most were there. And my friend who likes metal was there with me, and he said it was really hard to be in the pit because there was so much fake blood on the floor that was really slippery, and everybody was like losing their balance and falling down. So um, I guess I would probably um, I would fuck Guar and I'll take that one show that I did as that, and now they can ban me from ever going again. They actually came back like 6 months later to the same place, and I took a pass on it because, like I said, I think once you've seen that show, the singer at the time, he had his outfit had like an udder that had like 4 penises in it, and they like shot fake blood out of them. And I kind of I don't it's hard to imagine listening to Guar records like just if you're not going to get the guy being sodomized with the crucifix, like what's the point, right? If you're just listening to the songs, it's just sort of, to me, it's sort of like average middle of the road thrash metal. And the Guar thing is all about the outfits and the costumes and everything that goes along with it.
that's exactly what could be said about the other two bands too.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I would have to kill Kiss with Extreme Prejudice. I would. I've never liked them. I've always thought their songs were pretty terrible, and I know they've had a big following in the United States. And like I said, there's probably been 200 opportunities I've had to go see Kiss in the United States at some point, and I've always taken a pass. So I think I'll kill them, which I guess means I'm marrying Ghost. I remember reading about Kerry King, somebody giving him a Ghost record and saying, "Oh, you're really gonna like this," and he just hated it. And he's like, "I don't get it. What am I supposed to like about this?" And I had that same reaction when I saw them or heard them the first time. So I don't quite get Ghost, but maybe it's not something I'm supposed to get. I don't know. It's one of those like philosophical questions. But so I guess I'm marrying Ghost.
Tough choices for you, man.
Yeah.
This is an easy one for me, though. I'm gonna kill Ghost, fuck Guar, and marry Kiss.
Okay.
Yep, and I'll tell you why it's super, super, super. I'll tell you why it's super easy for me because uh, Ghost, I've seen a video of theirs, and that's it. I don't need to see them ever again, which is why, yeah, it's fine. I'll kill them. The music is fine, by the way, but whatever. Gore, I'd like to fuck only because I want to experience it once, and that's it. And how the hell wouldn't you marry Kiss? That show, oh my God, I want to experience it. It's it is what a it is what a rock and heavy metal show is supposed to be, right? It's over the
Mhm.
top. It's oh my God, I have like that's on one of my bucket lists.
We all know how Animesh is spending New Year's Eve, I guess, this year.
See, uh, if I was absolutely like over the top ballsy, then yes, I would have thunk of going to Dubai to watch Kiss live and bring in the new year, but I'm not. I still care about my life, and yeah, I actually am entertaining the thought of spending on that live stream, but it's New Year's Eve. I may have other places to. But yeah, it's so kiss for them to do that, right? And then for them to limit the number of replays you can get, because yeah, I mean, you're paying like an obnoxious amount of money just to be able to either watch it live or watch one replay, and that's the only thing that they're allowing you to do, which is like bullshit because it's the internet. And I'm pretty sure like within an hour of their performance being over, we'll
Yeah.
all have access to it in some fashion or the other. But yeah, whatever, man. That's the aspect of Kiss that I really don't enjoy. Anyways,
Did
uh,
you guys ever see that movie they were in?
oh yeah,
The
Detroit Rock City.
yeah.
I saw it. I caught it on television. Weirdly enough,
Mm-hmm.
back in the early 2000s or something, uh,
Mm-hmm.
in India, right? And that was surprising on its own. Managing to catch that obscure movie in India, and when the lockdown began here in India in around March, I went into this whole nostalgia trip, and I was trying to like just recollect movies that I would want to watch again, and so I decided to watch Detroit Rock City. And oh my god, is that movie bad? It's such a terrible movie. Whatever. It doesn't even have Kiss in it till the very end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love it for Mock, which is Mothers Against the Music of Kiss. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we get ready for our final set. This one's gonna be either extremely easy or extremely tough. And Mike, I'd like you to begin this one. Your three bands are Metallica, Megadeth, and Slayer.
Oh man.
I see. This is the one I was afraid. I was afraid you were going to pair these three bands up. So I've been thinking about this one in advance. These are three bands I write about a lot in the book, and uh, they're really like crucial bands for me that I've grown up with and loved for a long time. And um, Slayer is a band that I've always been kind of troubled that I like them so much because there's so many songs about murder and Satanism and all this stuff, but I just love those songs. Raining Blood is Angel of Death. I mean these I write about in the book that there's when you're at a Slayer show and that opening of Dead Skin Mask, and everybody just starts screaming. I'm like, this is a song about a serial killer that took people's skins off and made ornaments on, made outfits out of it. And I'm like, but I love that song. And it's really it's a really frightening experience. But I got to hear them do Seasons in the Abyss, like start to finish on a tour, which is that's my favorite Slayer record. I know I'm a little bit out of the mainstream on that because most people would say Rain in Blood is the best Slayer record, but I really enjoyed the podcast you did about comparing those two records. And but that's my that said, I've seen Slayer 13 times, and I caught a pic directly from Kerry King at one of the shows toward the end, and I saw them like right toward the end last year when they were on that final tour. They came to Omaha, Nebraska, which is not far from where I live, and Tom did this thing where he stood in front of the crowd and just stared out and like was taking like a mental picture, and he said, I've never appreciated how much you all meant in my life. And I was just tearing up, and I was like, I couldn't. It was just like, that was such a perfect moment for that band to kind of go out on. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to kill Slayer. And I think the cop out I'm going to make is they're already dead, right? Because they've announced that they're not going to play anymore.
Yeah.
Whether you believe that or not, that maybe is a different notion. But um, since they've already died, I don't have to actually kill them. They're already dead. They're already buried, so I can cop out on that. Um, Now, Megadeth and Metallica, I've seen each of these bands 32 times, and it's it's uh, it would be very difficult. I don't know if if polyamorous relationships are allowed in this game. Can I marry both of them? Can I have two spouses here?
It's like
Or,
you got
or,
you got Dave Mustaine on one hand and you've got James Hetfield on the other.
Megadeth shows they are so technically good. Like they're so like kind of what you were talking about with U2 earlier, where it's just like it seems like every note is perfect. Like they're on and they're just in that pocket. And I've never like I've never walked out of a Megadeth show thinking like, man, they just didn't sound good tonight, or they mailed it in, or they just they're always on it. And Metallica is such a huge experience, right? It's such an overwhelming and immersive experience, and they're usually different experiences because Megadeth's not nearly as popular, of course, and so they tend to play smaller venues, at least here in the United States, than Metallica does. Um, it's a really tough choice, but I think I will have make sweet sweet love to Megadeth, and I've probably already mentally married Metallica a long time ago, so I'll uh, I'll renew my vows to the Four Horsemen there. So
Okay. Peter, what about you?
So unlike Mike, my only Megadeth experience was not the greatest, and it was one of those moments where I was like, so to put it in context, it was a huge deal for me, right? I mean, like it's fucking Megadeth, right? You're getting to see them live, and I think this is 2012. Sorry, yeah, 2012. So this is where they had the North American lineup of Megadeth, and it like this was like 10,000 people, so it's a huge amount of people watching them at a festival. And like from the first song, you're like, oh yeah, 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 and then by the third song, I was like, wait, this is what I was like anticipating. Like this is not the best thing because I've seen on the same stage like other bands play before this, right, earlier in the day. And I don't know, I mean, like it just kind of put me off where I was like, okay, I mean, of course now uh Dave Mustaine has a completely different lineup, and I love the new guitarist or
yeah,
relatively new guitarist Kiko, and of course their drummer Dirk.
And fuck, Ellefson was back.
Yeah, I mean, of
yeah,
course, I
yeah.
think I didn't need to say anything about him, but I don't know. This is tough, man, because I mean, the easy cop out is Slayer's dead, so I can kill them, and yeah, I feel bad that I was kind of broke. That's why I couldn't make the only time they were here in India. But from everyone who was there, I think, and seen all three bands, they've always say that the Slayer gig was the best. I know Animesh is going to go on and on, so I'm going to try and keep this short. So yeah, I'll kill Slayer. Uh, Actually, wait. Let's not think that way. I'm going to flip it around. Sorry. I'm going to kill Megadeth because I'm done. I don't think I want to watch them, and if I'm going to be really, really harsh, Dave Mustaine's voice just isn't the same anymore. So, yeah, but the reason I'm doing that is because I want to fuck Slayer because I believe with everything we've gone through in this last year, the world needs another Slayer gig. Come on, man. I mean, like, if there's nothing else that motivates them, it's everything that we've gone through in this last year, and they're like, it's okay. The world needs us, kind of thing. And yeah, for everything, and I'm actually surprised I'm saying this, but I'll marry Metallica only just to hear them play stuff from their early albums. I mean, I did like some songs of Hardwired, like one or two, but those were the only songs that sounded like their older stuff. But considering, like, most of their set list is their older material, and you know the one song, if they play Frantic or any of those other songs, that's the time you rush to the washroom and come back kind of thing, or go
Right,
get a
right.
drink. So, but otherwise, I mean, like, Metallica is one of those bands that just like been consistent that way. I mean, I don't know anybody who's gone to a Metallica gig and said, it was average, or
Right.
like I didn't really get it, or they had an off day kind of thing. So, yeah, that's me now. Go for it, Animation.
Okay. Um, I'm going to paint this in two different scenarios. I've seen all three bands live, so if purely basing it on what I saw live, I'd kill Megadeth, I'd fuck Metallica, and I'd marry Slayer. Because, oh my god, Slayer's live show, it was the most brutal and the most intense live show I've ever seen. And like literally, like, they perform for 2 hours without taking a fucking break in the middle, and to perform at that level, note to note, headbanging like crazy, losing their shit, and at the same time to be able to do it for that long. Wow, it was oral intensity. And yeah, it's fucking Slayer. So yeah, if only going by their live shows itself and what I've seen, kill Megadeth because I've seen them enough, and yeah, once is good enough for me. Even though I'm a huge Megadeth fan, I'd fuck Metallica because that spectacle deserves to be seen again, and maybe they'll play a completely new set list too. Because I happened to see them on the Hardwired tour, and so it ended up being a lot of Hardwired songs. But yeah, whatever, excellent show nonetheless. I think the what really gets Metallica for me is I love that they still continue to open with uh the the good, bad, and the ugly theme. uh
Yeah,
I love that crescendo that builds up as soon as the Ecstasy of Gold starts playing and they sing
yep.
to their first song. That to me is the perfect concert opener. And and yeah, Slayer I'd marry. But if you were to remove that layer and think about it in the future, um, then yes, I'm actually the only two that'll flip would be Metallica and Slayer, because then I'd want to marry Metallica and fuck Slayer. I'd still end up killing Megadeth, which goes to show. I don't know. This becomes really tough now. I'm actually judging whether I like Megadeth that much or not.
You just had an epiphany here, right here on the podcast. Yeah.
Hmm. Anyways, anyways, wow. Okay, that, ladies and gentlemen, has been Kill, Marry, Fuck. Thank you, Mike, for sparing some time. Here's a question,
Like,
though. Through this entire lovely year that we've had, how many live streams have you watched? And are you keeping any data on that?
uh, I have watched several live streams. Metallica just had one where they did it at their place in San Francisco.
That was awesome.
You guys watched that one too, then, or
Animesh did.
yeah, I really enjoyed that, and um, I'm not counting those as shows actually seen. I don't think that sitting in my living room watching them on television quite counts as the same experience. Nobody else barfed or sweated on me, so I don't think that counts as a as a a concert experience. But yeah, I've seen several. The Foo Fighters did one recently, and there's the band Clutch, which my
Yeah.
wife likes. They've done two, I think, and they've got a third one that's coming up, where they're just playing in their little performance
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
And
I caught the first one, a bit of it, and it seemed like a lot of fun. Like it seemed
yeah,
like you're sitting in their jam room, a fly on the wall
yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah. That's an interesting band that would be on that. Are they metal or not? And I would probably say no, but they always get booked with other
Metal.
metal bands. They
Yeah.
always go on tour with other metal bands, and that's always kind of a strange. The first time I saw them, they opened for Corrosion of Conformity like 20 years ago, and then a couple years ago that they had flipped, and so Clutch was the headliner and COC was the opener.
Wow.
And then I saw them at a festival not too long ago, and Rob Zombie was the headliner. Lamb of God was the second, second from the headliner, and Clutch was the third. And I like Atreyu was there, and all these other Parkway Drive and these other bands, and I'm like, yeah, this is really weird. The Clutch always seems to get paired up with these.
Yeah.
They're kind of a weird. I don't know how you categorize them, but anyway. So I've seen a couple of those, and those have been great. I think I read a quote from Lars Ulrich that said, like, I don't know how many of these people are really interested in seeing, like, because obviously it's still going to be a ways before we're going to do live concerts again.
Except if you live in Australia. Australia is already having gigs.
Are they really? Okay.
Yeah, Australia and New
apparently
Zealand.
Dubai is too. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen several. What have you guys been doing? Some of those? Is that like a substitute for going to shows?
Well, that's the only way to kind of our only, I guess, what do I say, way of spending money, right?
Right.
and then it also depends, because most of these are in like dollars or euros, and when you do the conversion, they work out a bit steep. But I mean, Animesh has caught like the initial quarantine sessions of Devin Townsend. I caught the later ones he did with like more production and stuff like that, which was kind of neat. The funny thing was, because also of the time difference, sometimes it works out like in the middle of the night. So I can't remember. I think it was the one where Devin did the whole space theme and all of that. So I was sitting in the other room, and I think it was about 3 a.m. or something. And I was like singing along. I was like totally into it. And the next morning, my wife's like, I heard you singing, right? What the hell was that all about? And I was like, oops.
Yeah, I think the whole live stream thing, that's something that we need to discuss again, because and yeah, between Peter and I have been talking about this a lot, where there still needs to be a difference between just premiering a YouTube video that's been pre-recorded and actually doing a live stream, right? Yeah, so far I think the artists that we've got and we've actually liked, or was worth the money and the time that it took, were the ones that were genuinely authentic live streams, right? And there was a semblance of actually being a live performance rather than it just being a nicely produced video, which we've seen enough of even before this entire pandemic, etc., happened. One final question, and this one goes out to all of us. Peter, I'd like you to begin. What's the one band that you've yet to see and haven't seen who you would absolutely love to see?
Oh my God, there's like so many, man. I mean,
pick one.
Wow. This is now only because you're asking me this today, and I've been thinking about black metal. Emperor.
Ooh, nice choice.
Yeah, Emperor, I guess, would be one of the bands. And considering that they did do a tour and they did festival run, so definitely want to watch them live.
Okay.
Is black metal, death metal, is that big in India? Is there a following for that there?
Yes.
Animesh plays in a black metal band.
Well, yeah. Well, the band I want to see live that I've never seen is Riot Peddlers. That's the one that I want. That's the one I want to see. So I listened to your stuff earlier today. I really like the Insects Attack and Your Love Songs. Those are my two favorite from the Bandcamp ones that I listened to today. So,
someone's done that work.
That's right. That's right. Now, it was described on your Bandcamp site as you being punk or crossover thrash or one of those, but it didn't describe it as as black metal. But are you in a different band too, or a second band, or?
Yeah. The other black metal I still play with. Yeah, but that's called Sola Deity.
Okay.
Yep. Anyways, okay, but no. Besides the Riot Peddlers, there has to be a bigger name that you'd want to watch.
It's I've thought about this before, like musical regrets, like shows you didn't see or bands that you didn't see, and um I never got to see Alice in Chains with Lane Staley.
Oh,
Um, so I really liked Alice in Chains. I've seen them several times with their new singer William Duvall, and I actually they had a thing just on Friday where they did got inducted into the Museum of Pop Culture out there in
yeah.
Seattle. I really enjoyed that, but that was more of a like a produced video than really a live stream. But Mastodon was on there. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but they were.
Yeah, we were watching it and trading links yesterday.
Oh, great, great. I guess maybe that sort of is a band I would have liked. I would have liked to have seen Alice in Chains back then when Lane was in the band. But I have seen them several times since then. I used to really like Pantera, and I never saw them live. And obviously, two of them are
Wow.
dead now, so that's never going to happen again. So, um, but I've seen Down, so I've gotten my Phil Anselmo there. But um, I don't really. There's no one band that I've missed that I really feel like, oh, that's a hole in my heart that I never got to see that band live. And again, that's like I said at the start, it's sort of the privilege of living where I live and knowing that you're going to have bands coming through all the fucking time, and it's just they're going to relentlessly tour. And when they go, like you said, Megadeth played in front of 10,000 people at that festival that you worked at, Peter. When they come here, they're playing in front of like 1,500 or 2,000, and Americans don't generally like metal, and that's one of the terrible things about our country. But it's just sort of a saturation. Like there's so many bands, there's so many tours, and like I said, Megadeth's been playing for close to 40 years. So of course, anybody who's ever wanted to see them has seen them, and so they don't draw the big huge crowds that they do when they go to other countries. So I guess if forced to answer that question, I would say Alice in Chains with Lane Staley in it.
Okay, and all of you, I think Peter knows my answer.
Go for it. I love hearing it again, so please.
Yeah. You all are gonna judge me for this so hard. It's Kiss.
You've never seen them, huh?
Yeah, I've never seen them, and honestly, Kiss has been one of the so like um, it'll actually like if you were to reincarnate bands or reincarnate performances, it would have been a toss up between Chuck Schuldiner death.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Would have been add Alice in Chains with Lane Staley to that list. Um, yeah, those two, and yeah, but at the moment, the only thing that's truly possible is Kiss, and I've never seen them live. I really want to watch them live. Hopefully they end up doing a reunion tour again, because of course it's Kiss and we all know that's going to happen no matter how many
Yeah.
they say that this is their final tour. So yeah, that's definitely something I want to check off my bucket list eventually. Just not this Dubai concert that they're doing on the New Year's.
Well, have you seen Emperor, Animesh?
Again, not live.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you and Peter can go whenever Emperor comes to Mumbai, you guys can get down there and check that one out. So.
Hey, hopefully if Emperor comes down to Mumbai, I'd like try and work my ass off to make sure we open for them or something.
Absolutely.
And no,
Absolutely.
but the night before that, they'd be a guest on Horns Up, and then like the next day you can go open for them.
Is that what? Hey, now imagine that. How cool would it be for the Riot Peddlers to open for Kiss?
Oh, that would be interesting.
Like the Kiss crowd would absolutely like annihilate us. Anyways, on that note, Mike, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on and chat with you. I hope you enjoyed this as much as we've enjoyed talking with you.
I did. I thank you guys so much. I really enjoyed listening to the show, and I'll be a fan for forever now. So you guys are great. Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. And once again, where can people find you online, and how can they read more of the book, etc.?
It's MikeMalloyWriter.com, and I've got also some humor pieces that I have on there too. And but the first couple chapters of the book are out there, along with my list and some of the pictures of all the picks that I have, the 32 guitar picks that I've gotten from various shows. So check it out, MikeMalloyWriter.com.
And wait, just because you said guitar picks, I have to say that one Slayer show I've seen, I managed to get Tom Araya's bass pick.
Oh, that is a rare thing, because he usually doesn't toss them out.
Exactly. What's the one band that all of you, dear listeners, really want to watch live and haven't yet seen? Why don't you tell us? We are all ears at hornsuppod.com. You can also catch us on the Twitter machine. We're at hornsuppod. I'm at Asmoani.
I'm at Trend Crusher.
This was Horns Up.
Horns Up, guys.
Horns up.